Every time you open Google Chrome to check your bank balance, search for a medical symptom, or even just look for a new pair of shoes, you think you're in a private session between you and the website. But hidden deep within the latest update of the world's most popular browser is a secret feature that is fundamentally changing how your data is handled. Google has moved away from traditional tracking methods and replaced them with something much more integrated, a system that essentially turns your browser into a personal advertiser that profiles your interests and sells that data to the highest bidder in the form of targeted ad slots. This isn't a conspiracy theory. It is a documented part of Google's new Privacy Sandbox initiative, and if you don't disable it before this coming Friday, your historical browsing habits will be locked into a permanent profile that follows you across the web. Today, we are uncovering the secret Chrome feature known as Ad Topics, why Google is pushing it so hard under the guise of privacy, and how you can take back control of your browser in less than 60 seconds. Google Chrome has over 3 billion users, and for years, those users have been tracked by third-party cookies. We all know the feeling of searching for a backpack on one site and then seeing ads for that exact backpack on every other site we visit for the next 2 weeks. It was annoying, but it was easy to understand. But the world is moving away from cookies. Privacy laws like the GDPR have made them a legal nightmare for big tech. So Google decided to get creative. They introduced the Privacy Sandbox. On the surface, it sounds like a positive thing. They tell you they are removing third-party cookies to protect your privacy. But what they don't tell you in the big pop-ups is that they are replacing those cookies with a built-in tracking system that lives directly inside your browser. Instead of an advertiser tracking you, your own browser now tracks you on behalf of the advertiser. This feature is officially called Ad Topics, and it works by analyzing your browsing history locally on your device to determine what you are interested in. If you visit a lot of fitness websites, Chrome tags you with the fitness topic. If you look at car reviews, you get the autos topic. When you visit a website that wants to show you an ad, that website simply asks Chrome, "What is this person interested in?" And Chrome hands over your top interests. Google argues that this is more private because the raw data doesn't leave your device. But the end result is the same. You are being profiled, categorized, and monetized without your explicit granular consent. And the most disturbing part? This feature was enabled by default for millions of users in a silent update. The reason Friday is so important is that Google is currently in the middle of a massive rollout phase. They are finalizing the transition for a huge chunk of their global user base. And once your data is categorized into these topics over a full week cycle, it becomes much harder to reset your advertising ID within the Google ecosystem. By disabling it now, you prevent the system from building a comprehensive profile of your recent behavior. This isn't just about ads. It's about the principle of who owns your browsing intent. Should your browser be a neutral tool that helps you navigate the internet, or should it be a double agent that reports your interests back to an ad network? To find this setting, you have to dig. Google hasn't made it easy. You need to click the 3 dots in the top right corner of Chrome. Go to Settings, then navigate to Privacy and Security. From there, you'll see a section called Ad Privacy. Inside that hidden menu, you will find 3 separate toggles that are likely all turned on. The first is Ad Topics, which we just discussed. The second is Site Suggested Ads, which allows websites to tell Chrome what you liked so they can show you ads later. The third is Ad Measurement, which allows websites and ad companies to track how you interact with ads to see if they were effective. To truly protect your data, you need to turn all 3 of these off immediately. Let's talk about the measurement part for a moment, because it is particularly sneaky. Ad measurement isn't just about seeing if you clicked an ad, it's about tracking your behavior after the click. Did you buy something? How long did you stay on the page? Did you put something in your cart and then leave? By having this enabled, you are helping Google build a massive database of consumer behavior patterns that they use to sell their advertising services for a premium. You are essentially working as an unpaid data entry clerk for Google every time you browse the web. Turning this off breaks that feedback loop and makes your data less valuable to the people trying to manipulate your spending habits. Many people ask, why should I care if the ads are more relevant? And that's exactly how Google wants you to think. But relevant ads are just a polite way of saying highly effective psychological targeting. When an ad network knows exactly what you are thinking about, they can hit you with triggers that are designed to bypass your rational decision-making. If you are struggling with debt and you search for financial advice, and then Chrome tags you with the loans topic, You are going to be bombarded with high-interest credit offers right when you are most vulnerable. This isn't about helping you find a better toaster. It's about exploiting your current life situation for profit. The underlying technology here is part of something called the Topics API. Google tried to launch a different version of this called FLoC a few years ago, which stood for Federated Learning of Cohorts. The tech community screamed so loud about the privacy implications that Google had to scrap it, but they didn't give up. They just went back to the lab, rebranded it as the Privacy Sandbox, and made it sound more pleasant. They are using your fear of old-school cookies to trick you into accepting a new, more advanced form of tracking. It's a classic bait and switch. They remove the visible tracker and replace it with one that is woven into the very fabric of the software. But it gets even deeper. Chrome is a Google product, and most people are signed into their Google account while using it. This means your browser interests are being linked to your YouTube search history, your Gmail data, and your Google Maps location history. Even if you think you are just disabling a Chrome feature, you are actually fighting back against a multi-platform data harvesting operation. Moving your browsing data out of the Ad Topics category is a major hurdle for the algorithms that try to predict your next move. What happens if you don't turn it off by Friday? Well, Chrome will continue to refine its model of you. It will look at the top 5 topics you've shown interest in over the last several weeks and start sharing those with every participating website you visit. Once those topics are out there, you can't really take them back. They are used to populate real-time bidding auctions where companies bid pennies to show you an ad based on those specific tags. You become a commodity in a digital marketplace that operates at the speed of light. The tech industry is at a crossroads. Browsers like Brave, Firefox, and Safari have taken much stronger stances against this kind of tracking. Firefox, for example, blocks these kinds of APIs by default because they believe your interests are none of their business. Apple's Safari has been aggressively blocking cross-site tracking for years, which has actually cost companies like Meta billions of dollars. Google, being an advertising company first and a software company second, cannot afford to do that. They have to find a way to track you while making you feel safe. That is the fundamental conflict of interest at the heart of Google Chrome. Now, let's address the performance impact. Every time Chrome has to analyze your history to update your topics, it uses CPU cycles in memory. Have you noticed that Chrome feels heavier lately? That it uses more RAM than ever? Part of that is the constant background processing required for these privacy features. By turning off ad topics and ad measurement, you are actually freeing up resources. Your browser will feel snappier because it's no longer spending time trying to figure out if you're a mountain bike enthusiast or a potential home buyer. There's also the security aspect. Any API that allows a website to query information about the user's interests is a potential vector for fingerprinting. Fingerprinting is a technique where websites collect small, seemingly insignificant pieces of information about your browser, like your screen resolution, your installed fonts, and now your ad topics, to create a unique ID for you that can't be deleted like a cookie. By providing a list of your interests, Chrome is giving websites yet another data point to identify you across the internet, even if you are using a VPN or incognito mode. Speaking of incognito mode, many people think they are safe there, but even in incognito, Google has faced massive lawsuits recently for still collecting data. While ad topics is supposed to be disabled in incognito, the lines are often blurred when you are signed into your Google account at the system level, like on an Android phone or a Chromebook. The only way to be sure is to go into the settings of the browser itself and manually toggle these features off. You have to be the one to draw the line. Let's talk about the economic pressure Google is under. Their ad revenue growth has been slowing down as people get better at ignoring ads and using ad blockers. This secret Chrome feature is their way of making ads unignorable. By making them so targeted that they feel like a suggestion from a friend, they can increase their click-through rates and keep their shareholders happy. But this comes at the cost of your digital autonomy. You are being nudged through the internet by a system that knows your preferences better than you do. If you are a student, a professional, or someone who uses the web for sensitive research, this is even more critical. Imagine a scenario where you are researching a sensitive legal topic or a competitor's business strategy, and then Chrome tags you with labels that start showing up as ads on your home computer or your phone. The cross-pollination of your professional and private interests is a side effect of this sandbox that Google doesn't like to talk about. It's a breach of the professional boundary that a browser should maintain. How do you know if you've already been tagged? If you go into that Add Topics menu we talked about earlier, you might actually see a list of topics that Chrome has already assigned to you. It's often a weird mix of things you actually like and things you clicked on once by accident. You can delete individual topics, but that's like trying to empty a lake with a spoon. The system will just generate new ones next week. The only real solution is to disable the entire engine. Google's defense is usually that the internet needs ads to stay free. And while that's true, the internet doesn't need invasive, browser-level tracking to stay free. We managed just fine for 20 years without our browsers profiling our souls. There are plenty of ways to show ads that are based on the content of the page you are currently looking at, rather than the history of every page you've looked at in the last month. This is called contextual advertising, and it's much more respectful of your privacy. But Google prefers behavioral advertising because it's more profitable. The Friday deadline is also linked to a new set of developer requirements for the Chrome Web Store. Google is cleaning up how extensions access data, but they are simultaneously centralizing that data access for themselves. It's a classic move. They kick out the small trackers so they can be the only big tracker left. It's a monopoly on your attention. By disabling these features now, you are sending a signal to the data brokers that you will not be a passive participant in this new system. Think about the sheer amount of data Chrome has access to. It sees your passwords. It sees your bookmarks. It sees every URL you type. Giving it the permission to analyze that data for advertising purposes is a bridge too far for many. We've reached a point where we have to treat our browser like a piece of equipment that needs to be tuned and secured. You wouldn't leave your front door unlocked in a city, and you shouldn't leave your browser unlocked on the modern web. Let's recap the steps because they are so important. 3 dots in the corner. Settings. Privacy and security. Add privacy. Turn off ad topics. Turn off site-suggested ads. Turn off ad measurement. Once you do this, you might notice something interesting. The ads you see might become a bit more random. They might be for things you have zero interest in, and that is a victory. It means the system no longer knows who you are. It means you have successfully muddied the waters and reclaimed your anonymity. The push for the privacy sandbox is also Google's attempt to fend off antitrust regulators. By saying, look, we are getting rid of cookies, they hope to look like the good guys. But regulators in the UK and the EU are already looking closely at this new system because they realize it might actually give Google more power, not less. If Google is the only one who knows the topics of 3 billion people, then every other ad company has to go through Google to reach those people. It's a massive consolidation of power under the guise of a privacy update. For those who want to go even further, consider checking your Google account settings outside of Chrome. Go to myactivity.google.com. There you can see the massive log of everything you've done on Google services. You can turn off web and app activity, which is the master switch for Google's data collection. While this might make things like Google Maps less smart at predicting your commute, it is the ultimate way to go dark in the Google ecosystem. Combining this with the Chrome ad privacy toggles makes you a ghost to their primary tracking algorithms. We often hear the phrase, if the product is free, you are the product. But with Chrome, it's more like you are the product, the warehouse, and the delivery truck. You are providing the data, the device to process the data, and the attention to consume the ads. It is an incredibly efficient system for Google, but a raw deal for you. Reversing these settings is the first step in rebalancing that relationship. Friday is coming fast. The updates are being pushed to more computers every hour. You might have already seen a splash screen about enhanced ad privacy. If you saw that and clicked turn it on or got it without reading the fine print, you've already opted in to the secret tracking. Don't worry, you can still go into the settings and revert it. Google uses dark patterns, design choices that trick you into doing what they want, to get people to enable these features. They make the accept button big and blue and the settings button small and gray. There is also a hidden setting in Chrome called Send a Do Not Track request with your browsing traffic. While many websites unfortunately ignore this request, it's still worth turning on. It's located in the same privacy and security menu. It's a statement of intent. It tells the server on the other end that you do not wish to be followed, even if it only works on 10% of sites. That's 10% more privacy than you had before. Another thing to watch out for is safe browsing. While this is a good feature that protects you from malicious websites, the enhanced version of safe browsing sends even more of your data to Google in real time. For most people, the standard protection is enough. The enhanced version is another way for Google to get a real-time feed of every URL you visit, even those that aren't malicious, under the umbrella of security. It's all about the balance between convenience and privacy. The tech giants want us to believe that privacy is an all-or-nothing game. They want us to think that if we want the benefits of the modern web, we have to give up our data. But that is a lie. You can have a fast, modern, and safe browser without it being an advertising spy. You just have to be willing to spend 2 minutes in the settings menu. You have to be the one who decides where the line is. Millions of people will go through this Friday without ever knowing that their browser has been tasked with selling their data. They will continue to see those eerily accurate ads and just assume it's the way the world works now. But you know better. You know that there is a specific engine inside your browser that is making that happen, and you know exactly how to turn it off. Take a moment right now to share this information with someone who isn't tech backgrounds. Your parents, your friends, your coworkers. Most people have no idea these settings exist. They trust the big G to look out for them, not realizing that the company's primary loyalty is to its advertisers. Helping a friend secure their browser is one of the best things you can do in an increasingly digital world. The secret Chrome feature isn't a bug, it's a business model. But it's a business model that requires your silence to work. By speaking up, by changing your settings, and by moving to more private alternatives when possible, you are participating in a growing movement of people who care about their digital rights. The web should be a place of exploration, not a place of exploitation. So, before this Friday rolls around, take the 60 seconds to dive into those Chrome menus. Flip those 3 toggles to the off position. Clear your ad topics history, and then, breathe a sigh of relief knowing that your browser is finally working for you again, and not for the ad networks. You've done the work, you've secured your data, and you've outsmarted one of the most complex tracking systems ever devised. The digital landscape is constantly shifting. Today it's ad topics, tomorrow it will be something else. But the principle remains the same. Stay vigilant, check your settings, and never assume that a software update is just about bug fixes and performance improvements. Often the biggest changes are the ones they don't want you to notice. Stay informed, stay secure, and keep your browsing data exactly where it belongs, with you. Your browser is your window to the world. Make sure no one is looking back at you through it. Disable that secret feature now, and enjoy a cleaner, more private internet. You've earned it. Keep your data, stay tech-savvy, and keep fighting for your privacy. I'll see you in the next one to keep your tech life secure.